Suddenly, silence. Then only the sound of breath struggling through snow, cold and pain. They didn't know where they were. They weren't sure if anyone would come to help. But one thing was certain. Everything had already changed. What are you willing to do to survive in a place where you know you'll never return from? This is not just a tragedy. It is a story of moments when a person faces their darkest instincts. October 1972. A plane belonging to the Uruguayan Air Force takes off from Montevideo. It heads toward Chile, flying over the Andes Mountains. On board are 45 people, including Uruguay's rugby team, old Christians, their friends, and family members. Young, cheerful, full of life. Their goal was simple: to take part in a friendly match. No one knew that this journey would divide their lives into two, before the crash and after it. On October 13th, while flying over the Andes, weather conditions suddenly change. Due to dense fog and snow, the pilots lose their bearings. No radar, no GPS. The technology of that time did not allow for proper navigation in such mountainous terrain. The pilots believe they've already crossed the mountain range and begin to descend. This turns out to be a fatal mistake. In fact, they are still deep in the mountains. The plane crashes into a mountainside at an altitude of 4,000 meters. The moment of impact is horrific. The tail section immediately breaks off. Several passengers die in midair. The fuselage breaks apart. Now they are trapped in a metal cage in a 60-meter deep glacial hollow in the middle of the mountains. 12 people die in the first moments of the crash. The rest struggle to survive while severely injured. Around them, only endless whiteness, silence, and death. In the first days, the survivors believe that rescuers will come. They try to protect themselves from the sun using metal pieces of the plane and prolong their lives with leftover food, chocolate, wine, a few candies. But those supplies run out in just 3 to 4 days. Then they hear devastating news on the radio. Search efforts have been called off. No survivors found. From this moment on, their fight changes. Now it's not about surviving a few more days. The question is, how do you survive for months in these mountains, in this isolation, in this freezing cold? They begin to slowly die. Cold, hunger, thirst, physical and psychological trauma are destroying them. Then they make the most difficult decision, a decision unimaginable to some, to survive by using the frozen bodies of their dead friends. This was not only a biological test, but also a moral and religious one. Some resisted this decision for a long time, but hunger began to eat away at them, not from their bodies, but from their willpower. The instinct to survive overpowered reason and faith. Those who did it first eventually told the others they had no choice. This was one of the darkest, yet most powerful aspects of humanity, enduring everything in the name of survival. Days pass. The nights are freezing, the days blindingly bright and deadly cold. They try to stay warm inside the metal shell of the plane, melt snow for drinking water, and huddle together for body heat. Every passing day, someone dies, some from injuries, others from hopelessness. Sometimes planes appear in the sky, sparking hope, but none see them. They are invisible, lost in the whiteness, inside a plane that vanished. On the 17th night after the crash, another disaster strikes. A massive avalanche sweeps down the mountain and buries the plane, suffocating 8 people to death inside. The rest are so drained that this becomes their psychological breaking point. But some people, when reaching what is called the end, find a way beyond it. The 2 fittest members of the group, Fernando Parado and Roberto Canessa, realize this situation cannot go on forever and make a decision to cross the mountains on foot to find help. They set off with a small amount of food, plane parts used as blankets, and tattered shoes. It becomes a 10-day journey, from mountain to mountain, from night to night, through frozen rocks and snowy cliffs. At last, they emerge from the mountains into a green valley, and there they see a shepherd. With tears in their eyes and cracked smiles, they call out to him. The shepherd hands them paper and pen to write a message, which he throws across the river. That message would go down in history. We are survivors of a plane crash. We need help. 4 days later, rescue helicopters find the 16 people who had defied death for 72 days deep in the Andes. Their survival wasn't just a physical battle, it was a miracle of the human spirit. But the story didn't end there. With their return, the world learned that they had eaten human flesh to survive, and that caused a major outcry. Some condemned them, others showed understanding. Fernando Parrado later said, "We did not become animals. We fought to remain human." They not only saved their own lives, they also showed the world how resilient, how determined, and how miraculous humanity can be. For many, this story became a symbol of courage, faith, and hope. Those 72 days were not just about survival, but about pushing the limits of being human. Their survival perhaps wasn't about physical strength. It was about a spirit that never broke, about a will that never wavered. But the story didn't end in the mountains. After they came down, they had to carry the burden of memory for years. The world knew them as the miraculous survivors, but no one could fully grasp the psychological struggle they endured in those mountains. Fernando Parrado, one of those who saved his friends, later became a writer, TV host, and motivational speaker. He spoke about resilience and hope before audiences. Roberto Canessa chose a different path with his experience. He became a heart doctor and saved countless children's lives. He said, "Once my friends kept me alive, now I try to save the lives of others." Other survivors lived simpler lives. Some started families, some chose a quiet life, others never spoke of it. Each one carried within them a memory frozen in those mountains. These people showed us not only how to survive, but how hard, yet possible, it is to remain human. Their story still reminds us of one question: what would you do when faced with death? Because sometimes history is not just about great battles or leaders. Sometimes history is written with decisions made in frozen silence, in the middle of white nothingness.